Okay, so we're back again, back in the library, and Francisco, the builder, has agreed to hold off for 10 minutes while I do this. I'm doing these every day for a reason, and you'll see today's topic is why the VJ, or the VJ.com. The VJ.com, if you're not already familiar with it, is the online video school that Lisa and I launched about a year ago, and after putting it together, we finally got it in a position we think is pretty good. It essentially captures everything we've been doing for the last 30 years in terms of training people to do video, as well as the stuff that I did for years, teaching at both Columbia Journalism School and NYU Journalism School, and making them available to the public. The question is, why would we bother? I mean, we've done okay, look where we live, we can't do that. Why do we bother to do that? And the reason we do that is for beyond trying to build a business, which obviously we're trying to do, there's a much more important and fundamental issue here that relates to society, the world, government, how the country is run, and stuff like that. And that's really what motivates us to do this, and why we think this is so very important. I don't know if you've caught the New York Times today, but there was a very interesting piece about the tobacco business. Profits in the tobacco business are up 77% this year. And it's not because they're attracting more smokers. In fact, that thing seems to have stabilized out. The reason tobacco profits are up so much is because they keep raising the price, and people are addicted to cigarettes, and there's nothing they can do but to continue to pay. I think now we're up to about $15 for a pack of cigarettes. Well, there's nothing like having an addictive product. Television and video, as it turns out, is a more addictive product than tobacco or sugar or anything else. It's quite remarkable if you take a look at the power of this medium in the macro. It only first appeared in the world post-World War II, along with nuclear weapons, the other big game changer. And almost as soon as it appeared, people took to it like that. It was, in the 1950s, the fastest growing or fastest adopted appliance in human history, even much more than iPhones, or computers, which you'd think went pretty fast. Because from the time of 1955 until 63, it went from about 3% penetration in this country to about 95% of households having a television. Not only 95% of households have television, but people now and then, and for all this time, have spent 5 hours a day on average watching the stupid thing. And if you say, well, I don't watch television, I have Netflix, or I don't watch television, I am on YouTube, it's exactly the same thing. The platform is immaterial. So think about that for a minute. This thing that didn't exist before, suddenly in the course of 10 years, and now in the course of the last 60 years, has become the single #1 activity that we spend all of our time doing. That's amazing in and of itself. It's addictive. It's more addictive than cigarettes. It's more addictive, I don't know if it's more addictive than heroin, but it could be. But it's certainly the most universally addictive medium that has ever been invented. 5 hours a day, every day, is a remarkable amount of time. And spending all that time watching this thing, whether you're watching it on Netflix or YouTube or online or on a big box in your living room, it has an enormous power over the things that we think about and how we think about it. It sets the agenda almost every day for all the stuff that we do. When television was invented, there was no rule book. No one had ever had it before. It was a completely new phenomenon in human history, so people had to kind of figure out on their own what to do with it. And with, like most things, the parameters of what happened to it was a function of the cost. It was the economics. It was very expensive to make. It cost millions of dollars to make, and it was even more complicated and expensive to get into people's homes. They used to shoot it through the air, and they had those antennas that had on people's houses, and it cost a fortune. The result was that this phenomenally powerful and incredibly addictive thing rested in the hands of a couple of major corporations, or in some countries just in the hands of the government, and that's where it sat for 50 or 60 years. So we got used to this idea that television or video or whatever it is was in the control of a very, very few people, and our job was to sit and watch it in a very passive way and let the stuff kind of pour over us. Well, that would be fine if we only spent 10 minutes a day doing it, but we spend 5 hours a day doing it. It would be fine if it had no impact on our lives, like smoking, frankly, or sugar. People talk about secondhand smoke, but secondhand television is a dangerous thing because this medium sets the agenda for what we do, who we go to war with, who we elect, how we think, what we buy. You cannot underestimate, or you cannot overestimate, the power of this medium. And up until now, this incredibly powerful medium has been in the hands of a very, very, very few people who, based on mostly just profit maximization, decide what they are going to put out for the rest of the world to see. The transformative thing that happened here is that the result of these iPhones and smartphones and stuff like that, which have the ability to shoot, to edit, to broadcast, to transmit, to all that stuff, have put the power of this remarkably powerful medium in everyone's hands for the very first time. And you can pick up an iPhone and go shoot cats in trees or your kid or stuff like that, which is fine. But the fact is you have a remarkably powerful tool that is capable of doing a lot more than just shooting cats in trees or your kid or, you know, some kind of crap like that. The question is, what do we do with it? And the reason we launched TheVJ.com is to give people the professional tools to do this. Anybody watching your video is also watching professional television, whether it's, you know, fiction or NBC or BBC or anything like that. And if they are, there's a certain standard that they have an expectation of. The thing has to be well lit, it has to be stories well told, it has to be well shot, it has to be well edited. You can learn to do all that stuff, and if you want to communicate your ideas to people, you're going to have to know how to do that. That's why we're launching all these lessons on how to do this and trying to teach people. This is revolutionary in many ways, because what we're trying to do here is take this power of what we talk about every day and what we consider to be important and who we vote for and what we buy, take this power out of the hands of people like the BBC and NBC and people like that and put it into your hands and everyone's hands, because a democracy requires a democratized medium. And the medium up until now has not been democratized, but it could be. But it will only be democratized if you and everybody else who watches this or is interested in this steps up and learns how to do this. And that's what we are offering here. So I cannot urge you enough to go and visit the site. It's more than just how to push the buttons, and it's more than, you know, how to make videos and stuff like that, although that's certainly important. It's really about seizing control of the public discourse and the conversation that runs the world. And that is a very radical idea. And that's why we get up every morning and do this. So I hope you'll go and take a look at the site and at least open your mind to the idea that you too can and should participate in this. Thanks for joining us.